Hi everyone, welcome to Eco Learning Classes. This is Professor Geeta Mahesh. Dear students, let us discuss 2-mark questions. In 2 marks, they will ask even distinguish between or differences type of questions. Let us discuss those type of questions. Distinguish between microeconomics and macroeconomics. Micro means small, macro means large. So, microeconomics deals with the small units of the economy, but macroeconomics deals are concerned with the overall performance of the economy. So, it deals with a large part of the economy, or we can consider it studies economy as a whole. Microeconomics adopts slicing method of study. So, it adopts slicing method of study. That means it won't consider economy as a whole, but it will consider the part of the economy. So, it divides the economy into several parts and each part is studied separately. So, that method we call it as slicing method. It follows lumping method of study. That means it considers economy as a whole and the whole economy is taken to study the whole economy. So, it won't divide the economy, but it considers the whole economy and studies. That is the reason we call macroeconomics follows lumping method of study. Microeconomics deals with the partial equilibrium of the country, but macroeconomics deals with the general equilibrium of the country. So, all three markets are studied simultaneously under macroeconomics. So, there is a labor market, financial market and market for goods and services. All three markets are studied together and simultaneously. As we know, all these three markets are interlinked and interdependent. But under microeconomics, they separate. They will study either market for goods and services or market for labor or financial market. Separately, they segregate and they deal. So, that we call it as partial equilibrium. Next question, distinguish between positive and normative economics. As we know, positive economics deals things as they are. So, positive economics deals what was and what is in a given set of circumstances. But normative economics deals what ought to be, how it should be, not only the present situation, even it expresses the future, how an economy should be in the future. So, because of this reason, we say that positive economics is just a descriptive economics. So, it brings a relationship between the causes and consequences. But normative economics not only describes. So, with a description, along with a description, it will give a prescription. So, we say normative economics is a prescriptive economics, but positive economics is a descriptive economics. As it is a descriptive, it does not make any judgment. So, it does not passes a value judgment here. But under normative economics, it passes a value judgment. It says what should be done and what should not be done for better of a economy in the future. What are the differences between budget line and budget set? Budget line, we know budget line is a part of budget set. So, what is budget line? Budget line is a locus of all different combination of two goods whose cost is exactly equal to consumer's income. Then what is budget set? It is a collection of all bundles of goods whose cost is equal and or less than consumer's income. So budget set includes the cost or those bundles whose cost is equal and even less than the consumer's income. But if we consider budget line, it considers or it includes only those combination whose cost is exactly equal to consumer's income. Budget line is also known as price line. But budget set is known as opportunity set, as there will be a many combination you can choose. So we have different opportunities. So that is why budget set is also known as opportunity set. We can express in equation form. You can see P1 x1 plus P2 x2 is exactly equal to consumer's income. In budget set, you can see P1 x1 plus P2 x2 is less than or equal to consumer's income. Now, distinguish between excess demand and excess supply. When there will be excess demand, so when we call excess demand, if excess demand means if demand is greater than the supply, then it is called demand is more, demand is excess than the supply. When we call excess supply, that means supply must be greater than demand. Then only we say supply is more than demand or there is a excess supply. Now let us understand the differences between excess demand and excess supply. Is a situation when the quantity demanded is more than the quantity supplied at a prevailing market price. When price is given, in that situation, given at given price, if quantity demand is greater than quantity supply, that situation we call it as excess demand. What is excess supply? A situation when the quantity supplied is more than the quantity demanded at a prevailing market price. So given the market price, if a quantity supply is greater than quantity demand, then that situation we call it as excess supply. You can see second point here, quantity demand is greater than quantity supply, and under excess supply, quantity supply is greater than quantity demand. What happens if excess demand is there? When demand is more than the supply, definitely the market price will increase. So increase in market price level. Excess supply, definitely when supply is more than the demand, so it leads to decrease in market price. Distinguish between stock and flow, give example. So what are the difference between stock and flow? Usually stock is measured at a point of time, but whereas flow is measured over a specified time. So under flow will be measured between two period of time, over a period of time. But stock will be measured at a point of time. Stock is known as, or it is a static concept, as it is measured at a point of time. So you will get an exact value and there won't be any change. Whereas flow, it is measured over a period of time, there will be a time period. So in that situation, there may be a possibility of change from beginning to end of the period. So this is, as there will be a change, so it is known as dynamic concept. Take an example. Water in tank at a point of time is a stock. For flow, amount of water which is flowing into the tank from the tap per minute, See, per minute means there will be 60 seconds, and when you on tap and water is flowing into the bucket, that time the water level will be keep on increasing. It won't remain same. The quantity of water will be changing from first second to 60th second. So this we call it as flow concept, and it is a good example for flow. So when a firm maintains inventory and that inventory is measured at a point of time, then it is called as stock, and at that time that quantity of stock remains constant. If we consider inventory over a period of time, the beginning and end closings change in inventories if you measure, then you should take a difference between closing stock and opening stock. So there will be a keep on changing. So that is why we call it as flow concept. Between consumer goods and capital goods. Consumer goods used by consumers, capital goods are called producer goods, which are used by producers. You can see here, dear students, goods purchased by consumers for consumption purpose are called consumer goods. Capital goods, goods which are used in the production process, are durable character, and those goods are durable character. That means you can use again and again, are called capital goods. Good example for consumer goods, food, clothing, etc. Good example for capital goods, tools, implements, machines, etc. Consumer goods do not promote production capacity, but capital goods helps to production capacity. In order to promote production capacity, capital goods, they help to production capacity as they are used in the process of production. Write the difference between nominal and real GDP. Nominal GDP is just simply the value of GDP at current prevailing prices. So GDP is calculated by considering the current year prices. Real GDP, it is the value of goods and services at some constant set of prices, usually we consider as a base year. It is not reliable index as it does not give a clear picture of the economy. Because of inflation, if GDP is increasing, then you cannot identify with a nominal GDP. So because of that reason, we say it is not a reliable index. But real GDP, it is a reliable index as it gives a clear picture of economic growth, because we consider the quantity production or quantity of production of goods and services increased in one period and the present period, whether the quantity of production of goods and services are increased or not is shown by real GDP, as in both the period we are taking a constant prices. But in nominal it won't show. If just a rise in price also shows the GDP has increased. Now distinguish between public provision and public production. What is public provision? It means they are financed through budget and can be used without any direct payment. Take an example of midday meals. These midday meals are financed through budget itself, but while children are having a midday meals, enjoying midday meals, they are not making any direct payments. So they are used or can be used without any direct payment. Public production, it refers to production of goods directly by the government. No doubt here goods are produced by government, but whenever we are using, can be used by a direct payment. When we are using, we have to make a direct payment. Take example of electricity. We are using electricity and it is supplied by electricity board, which is under the control of government. But while you are using electricity, you will make a payment. It is not financed through budget. Good example for public provision, free education, midday meals, etc. Public production, electricity, water supply, etc. Distinguish between surplus budget and deficit budget. Surplus budget where government receipts are greater than government expenditure. Deficit budget means here government receipts are less than government expenditure. Surplus budget you can consider. It refers to that budget when the revenue of the government exceeds required expenditure. Then such type of budget we call it as surplus budget. Deficit budget, it refers to the budget where government expenditure exceeds its revenue or income. So here government expenditure is greater than government income or revenue. It is usually adopted, surplus budget is usually adopted by developed countries. But in underdeveloped or developing countries, they adopt deficit budget. Dear students, next topic, 2 marks, answer the following questions. Dear students, if you like, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.